$7.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Village of Bartlett Board Meeting for November 6, 2018. The beginning of the meeting this evening is starting with the Truth in Taxation public hearing. I call the hearing to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Kammer?
Here.
Carbonaro? Shaney?
Here.
Cabrera?
Here.
Hopkins? Here. Ranky?
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. I will turn it over to our treasurer, Mr. Treasurer. Truth in Taxation.
I'm going to take it from Todd.
Oh, Madam Administrator.
Public hearing is for the public input on the 2018 Village of Bartlett property tax levy. We discussed this tax levy at the last committee meeting. To recap, the proposed Village of Bartlett property tax levy totals $11,150,020. The general corporate levy is flat from the prior year. Combined with the police pension levy, the general corporate and the police pension levy have increased 0.80% from the 2017 extension. The debt service levy has decreased 2.20%. In total, the levy has been decreased $7,217 or 0.06% from the 2017 extension. 2018 tax rates from Cook to Page and Kane counties will be determined in the spring of 2019 when the county finalizes the EAVs for the 2018 tax levy. This levy will be presented to the village board on December 4th for the final approval, and the levy will be filed with each county clerk no later than December 25th, 2018. And if you have any questions, Todd will be happy to answer them.
Does the board have any questions? Would anyone in the audience like to ask questions regarding the public hearing? If you do so, please step up to the podium. Hearing none, we will adjourn the public hearing. The clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins? Yes. Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett Board Meeting for November 6, 2018. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk again to please call the roll.
Trustee Kammerer?
Present.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Daney?
Here.
Cabrera?
Here.
Hopkins? Here. Ranky?
Present.
President Wallace.
Here. We have requested this evening that Pastor Sue Allen of Living Lord Lutheran Church do our invocation this evening. Pastor Sue.
Please be seated. They don't ask me to do this very often because I make you sit down and listen to me for 2 minutes. I am so pleased to be here on this evening and recognize some of the women that I see almost every week back there with the Bartlett's Women's Club, and it is a pleasure to be here. I want to tell you a brief story because Living Lord is a polling place. And so today was a very busy day. People coming in and out. And one of our voters was struck by the fact that in the morning when she came at about between 9:30 and 10, that someone had delivered Dunkin' Donuts and coffee for the election judges that were there. She was so taken with that and went home, and she said it kept working in her mind and she wanted to do something else. And so she called up Jersey Mike's and did them one better. And she ordered sub sandwiches for their lunch and had them delivered. She left a voicemail message and I heard it, and called her back to thank her. And she was effusive in all of her praise for those who would give of their time from very early in the morning till probably an hour or so from now, with very little pay, but to come and do that service and be there as election judges. She said, it's a good neighborhood. We've been here for 30 years, and I love Bartlett. I'm proud to serve in Bartlett also, because we have people like that. And I give thanks for a village board that will encourage that kind of citizenship in our village. So I ask you to take a moment of silence or bow your head in prayer. Creator of all, we give you thanks. For in the beginning you created us in peace, and to live in harmony was your intention. Continue to grace the leaders in our village and in the places that surround us, to guide and direct your people so that we all may continue to live in peace. Amen.
And thank you, Pastor Sue. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brings us to the consent agenda this evening. All items listed with an asterisk will be considered enacted in one motion. There's no separate discussion on the consent agenda. At this point, would any board member like to add any item to the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to add item F1.
Is there any discussion under 2017 bridge maintenance project? Okay. Anything else? Nothing else? Well, that's it. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to amend the consent agenda to include the following. This evening's consent agenda will include the minutes from the board and committee minutes of October 16, 2018. The consent this evening will include the bills list from November 6, 2018. The consent this evening will also include under building and zoning an ordinance granting a special use permit for packaged liquor sales, wine at 1175 West Lake Street, Moretti's. The consent this evening will also include, will be adding under Public Works Committee, 2017 Bridge Maintenance Project, change order number 1. The consent will also include this evening fiscal year 2018-19 salt purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Kammer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gabrenya?
Yes.
Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
That motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Kammer, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gabrenya?
Yes.
Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next item we have this evening is our treasurer's report. There's none this evening. Moves us to our president's report. A few items under president's report this evening. The first one is the Commission of Appointments. I would entertain a motion to advise the consent of the board for appointment of Bruce Hendricks to a 3-year term on the Bike and Run Advisory Committee beginning 11/6/2018 and ending 11/6/2021.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Carbonaro. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gabrenya?
Yes.
The motion carries. With this advice and consent of the village board, I appoint Bruce Hendricks to a 3-year term on the Bike and Run Advisory Committee. Is Bruce here? I don't think so. We thank him for his service on that committee. With the advice, entertain a motion to consent to the appointment of John Sias on the Police Pension Board.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
And Trustee Ranky?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gabrenya?
Yes.
Hopkins?
With the advice and consent of the village board, I appoint John Sias to a 2-year term on the Police Pension Fund Board of Trustees beginning November 6, 2018 and ending November 6, 2020. Is John here? I didn't see him. We thank him for his service as well. Brings us to the Bartlett Women's Club proclamation. With this, I will I'm going to bring both of these over. Thanks, we have such a large crowd here. Readers.
Here, you want to borrow these?
That's all right. That'd be great if you guys could come up while I read it. I don't think you're this shy at your meetings, are you? Line up. No wonder I couldn't find a parking place. That's right, both. Well, thank you, ladies, for all being here. The Bartlett Women's Club 8 Decades of Service Proclamation. Whereas the Bartlett's Bide a Wee Club was organized in 1936 by 9 women who discussed the problems of the day while needles and thimbles clicked and crochet hooks flew. And whereas the original club changed its name to the Bartlett Women's Club on December 30, 1937, beginning the more than 8 decades of service to the community, promotion of good fellowship, and the advancement of intellectual culture, celebrate here tonight. And whereas each decade of Bartlett's history since 1937 bears the stamp of the helping hands and philanthropic efforts of the Bartlett Women's Club. And whereas the club members' collectible Bundles for Britain in the 1940s raised $1,000 for the construction of Bartlett Park's log cabin. In the 1940s, purchased playground equipment and bike racks following the formation of the Bartlett Park District in the 1960s, began an ongoing scholarship program for high school seniors and women returning to the workforce in 1976, and helped our village celebrate its 100th birthday with a generous contribution towards the Centennial Gazebo in 1991. And whereas at this milepost in the group's history, multiple generations of women, mothers and daughters, aunts and cousins have served and socialized side by side, hosting craft fairs and bunny lunches, fashion shows and candidate nights, always ready to support the next worthy cause with the club's unique mix of fundraising and just plain fun. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane Counties, Illinois, do hereby congratulate the extraordinary ladies of the Bartlett Women's Club, Bartlett's oldest service organization, and thank them so very much for many years of kindness and dedication that they have shown this village. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for being here.
It cleared out the whole area.
To the chamber. Anybody picking this up? Is there?
No.
The Ladies Club are going upstairs to the training room where Pam has set out a number of artifacts from their archive that we host here at the village, and a little bit of reminiscing over those 80 years. So they'll be up in
Excellent.
the training room.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Bye.
Next item on our agenda this evening under the President's report is Proclamation for Small Business Saturday. Whereas the government of Bartlett, Illinois celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 30.2 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States and are responsible for 65.9% of new jobs created from 2000 to 2017. And whereas small businesses employ 47.5% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, and whereas 90% of consumers in the United States say Small Business Saturday has had a positive impact on their community, and whereas 89% of the consumers who are aware of Small Business Saturday said that the day encourages them to shop small all year long, and whereas 73% of consumers who reportedly shop small at independently owned retailers and restaurants on Small Business Saturday did so with friends or family, and whereas the most reported reason for consumers aware of the day to shop and dine at small independently owned businesses was to support their community at 64%. And whereas Bartlett, Illinois supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, Village President of Bartlett, Illinois, do hereby proclaim November 24, 2018 as Small Business Saturday, and strongly urge the residents of our community and the communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year, dated the 6th day of November 2018. Next item on President's report this evening, we have Auditor's report. So I will hand that over to our treasurer.
All right, thank you. This evening, Sean Hinkey is here with our auditing firm, Lauterbach and Amon, and he's going to present the financial report to us tonight.
Good evening. I'm Sean Hickey. I'm an audit manager with Lauterbach and Amon, and I'm here to present the April 30th, 2018 audit results. Just to start out, Jamie Wilkie, who's the audit partner, I know she was here in the past to present. She couldn't make it this evening, so she asked me to come in her place. And she would certainly want me to start out by extending gratitude to Todd and his group, because the audit, the process started a few months ago. We come out. We require a lot of their time and the staff time to provide us with the information that we need to complete our audit, and to have a clean audit. That's really a testament to Todd and his staff, so we really like to extend our gratitude. Todd has mentioned that the board is electronic, which I kind of like, so I brought my computer, and like last year, Todd worked with me to bookmark just some of the high-level stuff that we want to talk about from our audit results that we think it's important for the board. So what I'm going to refer to is there's some bookmarks on your board packet, and I'll just mention the bookmarks, and then if you want to go to that page, or it'll bring you as close as possible to where I want to bring some information to your attention. So the first thing is bookmark 93, the Certificate of Achievement. The Certificate of Achievement is awarded by the Government Finance Officers Association. That's a third-party organization that reviews government financial reports. So the village had submitted their report last year, and it went through a rigorous check, and there's a lot of criteria to earn that award, and the village earned that award for their April 30th, 2017 annual financial report. It's presented in this year's report, and then we anticipate that the current year, April 30th, 2018, we'll submit that for the certificate, and we anticipate they'll be awarded that certificate as well. Next, the bookmark, the Independent Auditor's Report, that's a 9D4. The Independent Auditor's Report, I'm not going to read through it, but from the board's perspective, the main thing that you would want to know is that this is an unmodified opinion. It's a clean opinion, and that's the best opinion that you can get on your audited financial statements. What that really means is that all the financial information that was presented to us and that we audited, we found to be materially correct. Underneath that bookmark, the next thing is the management discussion and analysis. I'm not going to read through the management discussion and analysis, but why we like to bring that to your attention is if there's any place in the annual financial report that we would recommend that you read, it's the management discussion and analysis. And the main reason we recommend that is because this section of the report gives you a narrative format of the financial results for the village as well as comparative. So you can kind of see from year to year how the village did in various financial indicators. Underneath that bookmark is the general fund budget to actual. Why we like to bring this to your attention is the general fund is the main operating fund of the village, and this section of the report, what it presents is what were your actual results of revenues and expenditures compared to what you had budgeted. And what you'll notice on this page is that your revenues were pretty consistent with what you budgeted, but your expenditures were actually favorable from what you originally had budgeted. So three rows up from the bottom, you have a change in fund balance, and that number is an increase of $75,706. And what that represents is for the current year, your general fund, your revenues exceeded your expenditures. And then you could see 2 items to the left of that, you actually had budgeted a decrease of over $700,000. And that was mainly because of the expenditure line items that you had cost-cutting measures to keep the expenditures down. The next bookmark is the statistical section. Again, it's not a section that I would actually go through in detail, but it provides detailed information and historical information about the village relating to significant taxpayers, your long-term debt, as well as general information that might be available for the public to review. And it gives it on a 10-year historical basis. So that's also another good place to find other information that's not really financial in nature, but more historical in nature. The last bookmark I'd like to go to was actually the first one, 9D1, and it's the management letter. The management letter is something that we use as a tool to either bring to the board's attention if we had found some sort of deficiency in internal control. We review the internal controls of the village as part of our audit. In our letter, we didn't have any issues that we found with internal control. The other thing that we do use the management letter for is for recommendations. And so on page 3 of the management letter, we do have to bring to your attention, more as a housekeeping item, is that we kind of highlight when there were funds that were over budget. And in the current year, your debt service and your municipal building fund were over budget. And so we just bring that to your attention as something that you would want to monitor throughout the year. On the next page, this was actually a prior recommendation. We also use this management letter to bring to your attention new accounting standards that are going to be issued. And this one is related to other post-employment benefits. It's effective for the village for their April 30th, 2019 fiscal year. And we're going to work with Todd and his group to make sure whatever needs to be disclosed in the financial statements or possibly recorded in the financial statements that we get that implemented in this current fiscal year. And then there was one other item. It was a prior recommendation where there were some funds that were not in compliance with the fund balance policy. I'd just like to bring it to your attention that that was recommended last year, and Todd and his staff fixed that, so we didn't have that repeated this year, but that was something that in the current year. So, that's all I have for the financial statements and the management letter, and certainly I'd like to open up for any questions.
It's a lot of fun reading.
Yes. Yes.
Overall, great job.
How often does a municipality not receive a clean audit?
Just in general?
Yeah, in general, for the ones that you guys audit.
Oh, for the ones we audit? It's probably rare. Yeah.
Thank you.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you again.
Appreciate the report. That's it for the President's report this evening. Next item on our agenda this evening is questions and answers. The board has any questions they'd like to bring up? Hearing none, we'll move on to the town hall portion of the meeting this evening. If you'd like to address the board, please step up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Would anyone like to address the board at this time?
John Leonardo with Frederick Quinn Company, your construction manager for the new police facility. Thanks for having me back tonight. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the status of construction. We continue to work on Phase 2 of the project, which is the single-story addition on the south side of the building, making good progress inside the building on drywall finishes and mechanical rough-in, finishing the investigations area and the detention areas. We remain on schedule to be completed with the inside of the building and get the building up and operational by the end of the year. So I'd be happy to, and excuse me, Mr. President, we remain on budget, under budget for the project, and continue to have contingency and allowances available for things as they might arise. So be happy to answer any questions with regards to the process where we stand right now.
When is the expected completion?
Currently, the expected completion date is December 28th.
Oh, right around the holidays. Spectacular.
So,
Merry Christmas, Chief. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for being here. We appreciate the update.
Thanks for having me. Good night.
Would anyone else like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to our standing committee reports this evening. First standing committee report is under Building and Zoning Committee, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. Item A1, an ordinance granting a special use permit for packaged liquor was covered under the consent agenda. That's all we have.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Next standing committee report, Community and Economic Development Committee, Chairman Gabrenia.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing under our committee this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Gabrenia. Finance and Golf Committee, Chairman Daney.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only item we have on our agenda is C1. It's the 2018 estimated property tax levy. And with that, I'd like Todd just to give us a little summary of specifically what we have here.
You, Trustee Daney, this is just another step in the property tax levy process. At the last committee meeting in October, we went over the proposed levy presentation. We published in the newspaper the public hearing that we completed this evening. This next step is to establish the estimated 2018 property tax levy. This needs to be established 20 days prior to when the final levy is approved, which is scheduled for the first meeting in December 4th. And so this evening, that's what we need to do, is establish the levy, which is proposed to be $11,150,020. If there isn't any questions, I'll turn it back to Trustee Daney.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? If not, then I move that the estimated 2018 property tax levy be established at $11,150,000, $150,020.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Kammerer. Will the clerk, is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kammerer?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gabrenia?
Yes.
Hopkins? Ranky?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. President, that's all we had on our agenda this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Daney. Next item is License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Kammerer.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had nothing under our committee this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Kammerer. Police and Health Committee, Chairman Carbonaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing to report under our committee this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Carbonaro. Public Works Committee, Chairman Ranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Both items were covered under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Ranky. That brings us to our new business this evening. New business has one item. We're going to be establishing Moretti's Class G liquor license.
13.
This license will be issued if there's no objection. Just to restate, I can give everybody a refresher. They're requesting a permit to sell packaged liquor, wine, and to start a wine club for their guests. Moretti's located 1175 West Lake Street. The Planning Commission did review the petitioner's request, conducted a public hearing, and recommended approval at their October 11, 2018 meeting, subject to the conditions and findings of fact. Everything was in order. Yeah, the new creation of a Class G liquor license. Yep. Yep. So if there's no objections to this license, I intend to issue that. Any other new business anyone would like to discuss? Everybody roaring to go find some results?
I think we have to approve this as an ordinance.
I have a question about Stearns and 59. Where are we? Now that the snow is about to fall, and I turned in that intersection this afternoon and thought, oh dear Lord, how are we going to handle the snow situation and the safety situation when it's such a mess?
Right. Unfortunately, they're not going to get done with that project this year. They're hoping to continue to work as long as the weather permits, but they will be back in next summer.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is once the weather gets to a point where it's not worth them continuing trying to work, they'll shut things down, get it to the best that they can, open it up as much as they can and let it get through the winter, and then as soon as the weather breaks, they'll be back out in the spring to continue working on that intersection. But it sounds like it'll be most of the summer, probably next year as well.
So when you're westbound on Stearns, at the light there between the road and Walgreens, there's a drop-off. So my question has to do with snow removal. What happens?
Their goal right now is to try to get it
Filled.
so that they can get things back open. But with the weather the way it is, who knows what you're going to get. So they're trying to get as much as they can. They just poured some concrete not too long ago. So every day that has an opportunity, they're trying to make as much as they can out of that and try to get things filled so that we can get through the winter.
Thank you.
Any other new business?
Yeah, I'm going to try this. We had put in a request to the ICC to take a look at our downtown traffic lights to see if we can put them on a flashing situation. We got a letter back from them. I'd like to revisit that, if we can actually have them come to the meeting as opposed to just answering our questions. 'Cause I think we'd like to discuss that. The idea is to get more traffic downtown, and I don't think we're going to get that with the current situation. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved. Second.
By trustee Daney, seconded by trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky? Yes. Camera?
Yes.
We are adjourned.